everyone, and sorry for the slightly different setup today, but it is very hot and today's video is mainly going to be a screen recording, so I just wanted to keep this start bit kind of informal and relaxed. But basically today I'm going to be doing a video that has been requested by a lot of you, and it is how I make my academic mind maps. I'm going to talk you through the process using kind of recreating the mind map for my first chapter and just show you all the steps and how I do it and my thought process, and hopefully some of you will find it useful. Let's get on with the video. I think the first thing to mention is I don't just make mind maps for chapters, I make them for a lot of different reasons. As you can see here, I have a whole bunch, and I actually haven't made any new ones in a while because I've been working on the same chapter, so it hasn't been necessary. But today I want to talk you through how I used mind maps to kind of construct or start to bring together the themes for my first chapter. But quickly, I've also used them for particular books. So here we can see I've got a mind map on Bodies That Matter by Judith Butler. And that was me really just trying to bring together the key themes she talks about, get some key quotes that would be useful for me going forward, and also then add my own understanding onto them. So I don't just pull in quotes, I do also try and pull in my ideas and what I'm thinking at the time. And I like this because I can visually see, okay, this is everything on gender, performativity, and then obviously it's broken down into these three sections, and then we have even more information here. I also did that on domesticity in lesbian narratives by Amy Murphy, and I did it on British queer history by Brian Lewis. So that is one way that I find useful to use mind maps, because visually to me it is a way of signifying to myself very easily, like, these are the key themes you picked out when reading it that are relevant to your research, and these are the related points, and it groups it all together in a very nice visual way, I find. Another way that it can be good to use is if you want to deep dive into a certain topic. Like here you can see I'm really focusing on hetero-homonormativity. And this is bringing together a bunch of different research. And the point of this mind map, this isn't to provide necessarily lots of information, but it's really to show, okay, these are the key pieces of scholarship that I've found. Ooh, sneak preview there. This is the key pieces of scholarship that I found that I think will be useful later on. So if we zoom in, we can see we've got Reading the Regis Roundtable, An Outsider's Perspective by Jonathan A. Allen. And then this is everything that kind of links to homonormativity or heteronormativity and kind of the key points I'm reading out from the article. But it's not a lot of detail. And then I've also got things on here like The Ongoing Trouble with Normal by Samuel O. Chambers that doesn't have any notes because I haven't read it yet. But it's a way for me to be like, this is a topic I want to go back to. These are the text I already have that I think will be useful for this topic. Let me check my mind map. I haven't read that one. That seems relevant to what I'm currently researching. Read it, and then I'll add again the key, the very, very key. I try to keep it to 3 or below sort of points from that, or arguments from that article or book or chapter. And it means that in future when I come back and I'm struggling to think about hetero or homonormativity, or I'm struggling with like, what critic said that, I've got it all in one place. It's all very easy to see. It's all color coded, which I love. If you've watched any of my other videos, I love color coding. And it just, for me, this really helps me make what can potentially be a very complicated topic very easy, because I can see all the information I have in one place and it doesn't feel as overwhelming as sheets and sheets and sheets of a Word document. So that kind of shows you the different ways I use mind maps. And now the final way I want to show you is how I use mind maps to structure a chapter. So I'm actually this is where we're gonna do a new mind map. So the software I use is Simple Mind. I'm sure there are 1,000 free mind map softwares out there. This one I just found on the App Store. I have a Mac as my work laptop, so this works for me. I believe it is available on Windows, but you would need to check that for yourself. I don't know for definite, is what I'm trying to say. So in Simple Mind, at least, you go new mind map, and you just start with this blank page. Central theme, very easy, it's all unnamed. So we're going to be talking through the chapter queer body. So let's type that in, queer body chapter. Now keep in mind I have already made this mind map, so this will seem a lot more seamless than it is in reality. In reality, this can take me quite a long time to think and put together sort of the groupings, but we're doing a speeded up version here just to show you how this works as a method for research. So we've got our queer body chapter. Now the next step is thinking, okay, got a chapter. We know that's going to be roughly maybe 10 to 15,000 words, depending on the length of your thesis, depending on how many chapters you're doing. So given that, how many rough topics do we think we can cover? I would say if you're doing 15,000 words, it's reasonable to expect to do about 3 topics, 5,000 words each. If your chapter is shorter, adjust it accordingly. If it's longer, again, just have a think about what you want to say and how many words you realistically have to say it in. I know I want to talk about the queer female body. So this is now going to be a section in my chapter. I also know I want to talk about the queer male body. And finally, I know I want to talk about the queer trans body. And I use the asterisks in case anyone is wondering, is because it's kind of used as an inclusive. When I'm using the word trans asterisk, I'm not just saying transgender people who have transitioned. I'm also including non-binary people, gender fluid people, and agender people, etc., etc. So it's just a more inclusive umbrella term, I find, than just putting trans. So that's why I use it. I saw an academic do it. This academic actually, Jack Halberstam, and the name of their book is Trans Star, and I really liked it when I saw that, so I've adopted it since. Now we've got our 3 chapter sort of topics, or subheadings is a good way to think about them. What we then want to do is, what do we actually want to say in these subheadings? How do we want to structure them? What are the key texts we want to maybe discuss? And I think a good way to do this is, let's take the queer male body. Now, I'm obviously an English literature PhD student, so the first thing I really want to think about is, what primary text, what piece of fiction am I going to focus this analysis on? What am I using as my case study, as my primary example of the wider trend that I have spotted in queer romances? So I add that to the mind map. Now, as I said, this is all seeming very seamless because I've already done the thinking. I'm kind of just recreating it now to show you the process. Don't be put off if that's not the title. Don't be put off if this takes you a couple of days, maybe even a week to kind of get everything together. This is very much a speeded up process.
So I know I want to talk about The Captive Prince by C.S. Hackett, who is an Australian author who released the Captive Prince trilogy between 2008 and I believe about 2015, quite a long time. And the reason I want to use that as my example of the queer male body is because from my first reading of it, I found it to be quite heteronormative, firstly in how it presents one of the heroes, but it's also interesting because it presents almost 2 types of masculinity. So I want to mention that here. So I want to say Damien is heteronormative in his body's construction.
And then I'm going to just put some keywords as sort of notes to myself. Obviously, how you make notes is completely up to you in the sense of like what you want to actually put on your mind map. I like to keep them fairly short. I cannot spell athletic today. Let's go with it. We know what it means. Athletic, warrior, strong, sexual, aggressor. So that's kind of telling me the key points I want to bring out when I'm analysing that character's body and how that character's body is perceived by both himself and the other characters in the novel. And what I would do at this point is just keep adding different points that I can bring together to this section of the mind map. And basically this is where you want to get all your thoughts down, chuck everything at the whiteboard, so to speak, and then you can edit it later. That's also why I like using a digital mind map, because you can always go back and edit, whereas if I did this on pen and paper, honestly it'd be a nightmare, and I feel like I would get so frustrated and mess it up, and just, it wouldn't work. It would ruin my academic flow, so to speak. And this is really the time when you want to pull together any of the reading you've been doing, whether that be a primary text, whether that be your secondary sources, and really think, okay, what are the things that are interesting? What are the key themes that keep cropping up and keep sort of ringing a bell with me when I'm thinking about this topic? So we've now got the primary text sorted, and we've got some things to start with, and you could add more. I'm just going to stop there because, as I said, I've already made this, and this kind of shows the process. What you want to do then next, or what I did next, is then I thought, okay, what are the critical sort of approaches I'm interested in here? Who are the key critics for this chapter? And really, what am I thinking about in terms of my analysis of the queer male body? So this is where, when I was actually doing this, I would refer a lot to my long document. As you can see, it's 193 pages and nearly 73,000 words, which is ridiculous. But this is where I would comb through this, and obviously I would already have an idea from having made these notes and read these books, etc., of what I was looking for. But I would look through here and I think, okay, who's really talking about athleticism? Who's talking about the muscular body? Who's talking about queer bodies and sex? And really what you want to do here is you want to comb through your existing research and really figure out what are the key critics, what are the key quotes, and get them down in your mind map. So when you come to write this, it's all in one place and it's already structured and organised around the topics you've highlighted that you want to talk about. Part of the reason I love Simple Mind is because afterwards I can very easily sort of colour code. They've got sample ones you can use, which I find quite useful, and you can also say I want all this point to be say I want this point all to be red, and then it changes all the ones linked to that. I want this one to be blue, I want this one to be pink, or maybe I want all my queer body stuff to be some variation of yellow. So these are horrible colours, but hopefully you're getting the idea. So it's like they're linked, but I know they're separate points, and I just find that really useful. I can also move stuff around, I can reconnect stuff, and I just, oh yeah, you can also, there's a note section, and this is sometimes where I'll put more detailed notes if I want to keep the actual mind map looking quite clean. And I've done that in my, I'm pretty sure, yes, here, can you see the little yellow thing? So if I click on that, I have lots of notes for what I actually think about this piece of text. So that's quite a useful little tool as well. So hopefully that has given you a good idea of how I use mind maps for my academic research and different ways you can use it, and sort of the whole process for how I do it. And I feel like a lot of people don't use mind maps, and they really should. Anyway, as always, you know what you're doing. I'm not going to say it. Always message me on Instagram. Leave a comment down below. I will answer. And I'll see you next Sunday. Bye.